What's going on, everybody? It's Josh Gaming here. Since so many of you guys requested it, I'm going to be taking a look and reviewing a review of the SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated IGN review. If you haven't seen my other video, I did a review of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated GameSpot's review, which they gave it a 2 out of 10. IGN gave this one a 5 out of 10, which I feel is at least a little bit closer to what it should be accurately scored, but still, I want to go over it and give my thoughts on what they're saying, and let's check it out.
SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated marks the return of one of the most iconic licensed characters to enter the 3D platforming fray. Sadly, what's described as a flashy remake feels more like a skin-deep remaster, doing little to fix the issues that plagued the original. Its graphical update is accompanied by some imaginative improvements, but those few bright spots aren't enough to bring Battle for Bikini Bottom's passable but simplistic gameplay up to the standard of a 2020 platformer, let alone impressive recent remakes like the Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
Okay, so what he's saying is that Battle for Bikini Bottom does not live up to the standard of a 2020 platformer, but I absolutely don't understand why not. It's a great game. It's an old game, yeah, and it's definitely not perfect, but it does a darn good job of what it's doing. It's very faithful to the original, and the original, I believe, it was either them or GameSpot, but they got a 7 out of 10. Which it baffles me because this got a 5. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
As I revisit Battle for Bikini Bottom nearly 17 years later, Rehydrated's 10-ish hour campaign showcased all the missed opportunities to truly modernize this game for first-timers and those of us who look back on it fondly. To its credit, Rehydrated runs cleanly on PS4 Pro. Its remastered soundtrack's cheery tunes have earwormed their way into my mind, and the actual feeling of running, jumping, and bubble-blowing as SpongeBob is precise and responsive. Battle for Bikini Bottom still feels a generation behind, though, but its graphical update is largely well done. The bright, cheery, almost neon-drenched world feels a lot closer to the energy of the show and its title character than the original's look. But the adventure around those mechanics remains as limited in scope, design, and overall thoughtfulness as it did back on the original Xbox or PS2. You'd have expected a game about a sponge to have maybe soaked up some of the ideas that have come along since then.
Okay, so they talk about modernization, and I don't understand what they mean. Again, this is exactly the same as the GameSpot review. They want it to be more modern, and what do you want? I don't understand. And I said this before in the other review. It makes no sense to me. One of the biggest improvements I've noticed is with the draw distance. That was a big thing. And it's a lot easier to see where golden spatulas are and where Patrick's socks are. They're scattered all throughout the levels. If you played this game, you know that. But and especially levels that were too dark, like the Kelp Forest, for instance. Any of you who played that on PlayStation or GameCube or Xbox, you'll know that the resolution on that was so dark, you could hardly see where you were going or what you needed to do, and they fixed that a lot with this. So I don't understand what they mean by it needing to be modernized. I don't know what more they could do besides make a brand new game with new mechanics and completely scrap what made the original so enjoyable and lovable.
Unlike a remaster, a remake can and should do its best to modernize and improve aspects of an original game that haven't aged well. Crash, for instance, felt fresh again when the Insane Trilogy revamped it, while Spyro's Reignited Trilogy became the fiery new standard for what I thought these remakes could do.
Okay, so they compare it to the Spyro Reignited Trilogy here, and I don't understand that. That was a game. These are, like, not really necessarily comparable, because Spyro is a game that was made by 200 people at Toys for Bob. I believe that's about the number of employees they got that was worked on Reignited Trilogy. This is a small team at Purple Lamp Studios, and I said this before in the other review, of only about, I believe, 40 people or so. And for what they managed to do with just a small team of 40 people is insanely impressive.
But Rehydrated rarely does things like that. Every entrance to a new area is saddled with a few seconds of loading time, even when going into a small building like Patrick or Squidward's one-room homes.
Okay, so let me get this straight, okay? Let me try to take my me and big brain and try to understand that you were complaining about a few seconds of load time. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, I know the PS5's coming out and the SSD is supposed to be so super fast that you can blink and the game's loaded. Something like, Horizon Zero Dawn, but my gosh, have we as gamers, and especially game reviewers and games journalists, have we gotten so impatient that we can't handle a few seconds of loading? And something else I want to mention too is that for all the times that this guy is comparing the game to the Spyro Reignited trilogy and the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, both of which are fantastic, by the way, they have really long load times. Way longer than that, that's for sure. Going in and out of levels for Spyro, that takes at least a minute or longer, depending on what level. I haven't actually timed it, but I know it's at least a minute. And same goes for Crash Bandicoot. When you started up the game, and especially before the patch that came later, it would take at least 2 minutes to load up the title menu. And nobody says nothing about that, but yet you're comparing it to this, and yet you're saying that the load time by having to wait, 3 seconds, 4 seconds? It's at least 10 seconds is the tops I've seen for some of the loading. And you can't do that? My gosh, what have we become as gamers? Like, I know that my time is precious, and I don't get to play video games as often as I'd like to anymore. That's why you won't see me doing videos every single day, I try to do as many as I can when I can, and I try to stream when I can for you guys. But, I don't have a lot of time anymore. I got to take care of my family and everything, and, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, but, a few seconds of loading isn't a big deal, Nobody complained about the Spider-Man loading sequences. That's a bigger game, and of course it's going to have a longer loading time because it's got to load more stuff, but that when you're in the subway train, it's only, it's not that big a deal. Like, the PS5 it's going to fix all this, but still, have we become that impatient where everything has to be instantaneously given to us? This game's taking too long. I got to beat it already. Buy microtransactions to speed up the game. The loading times are taking too long. I got to have it now. And it's just crazy. Thinking back to when I was a kid, like Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex, you could sit there for up to, 4 minutes or so. And that's just crazy to me that's your problem with the game, is a extremely short 3-second load time. That's hilarious. Let me know if I'm wrong and I'm just an old-fashioned gamer who is used to this kind of stuff. If you, in the comments, please let me know if you disagree with me and think that the load times are too long in this game, because they seem like nothing to me. It's not a big deal to me at all, but if it bothers you, please let me know. I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts.
All three playable characters, SpongeBob, Sandy, and Patrick, have the same repetitive few lines of dialogue that they bleed out after finding collectibles, grabbing health, or hitting enemies.
I feel like a new sponge. Oh, sparkly. I love opening presents.
By the 30th time I heard them, I just wanted to stop playing. Aside from some great returning lines from supporting characters that still made me chuckle, it's absolutely jarring when one of the original actors doesn't voice their own iconic character, like Mr. Krabs. Clancy Brown was absent in the original and is still not voicing that role in Rehydrated.
Do you think I've got bilge water on the brain?
And even though that's something we've been told before launch, it's still really disappointing to hear.
Okay, so the first part of his thing with the SpongeBob and the voice clips repeating being annoying, like, I don't really have a problem with that. Like, a good example of a game that I know some people don't like because of the repetitive voice lines, Sonic Heroes. I don't have a problem with that. It doesn't really bother me. It never has, and that was part of the original game, you know? I would have been disappointed if they took it out. But I will say, I absolutely do agree with him about Mr. Krabs. It's such a shame that they could not get Clancy Brown back, and I really wish they would have. But again, from what I heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I've heard that it was Nickelodeon's fault, that they did not want to get Clancy Brown back to reprise Mr. Krabs for this, and that's such a shame. That could have been a really great thing if they got Clancy Brown back, but unfortunately, I guess Nickelodeon said no for whatever reason, and that's really too bad.
Overall, Battle for Bikini Bottom is an incredibly easy platformer with only a few truly challenging sections thrown in. The difficulty jump in levels like SpongeBob's Dream is often fun, but there's such whiplash from the rest of the adventure. And when they're done, the challenge reverts to being simplistic and kid-friendly for its final few challenges.
Okay, I gotta stop again, because... What? This is... Okay. This is probably one of the stupidest things I've heard this guy say. It's a kid's game, dude. Come on, it's a kid's game. SpongeBob, kid's cartoon, on a channel, Nickelodeon, a kid's TV network. Don't you think that maybe a video game adaptation of the TV show is made for kids? It's like, yeah, duh. Yeah, I'm an adult, and I enjoy it because I grew up with it, and I love SpongeBob, at least the earlier seasons. I have not watched the newer seasons, but I've heard they're pretty good. Some of the, recent, within, the past couple of years, I guess, have been pretty good, but I have not seen those. I just remember watching the first 4 seasons, and those were definitely the best. People always say that the 3rd season was the last, good season, but I can argue that 4 was really good, too. I really enjoyed the 4th season. After that, I think it kind of started to go downhill for a bit, but that's a discussion for another day.
Like in the original, you can intermittently swap between SpongeBob, Sandy, and Patrick, often to solve character-specific puzzles. But in a platformer still meant to be enjoyed today, I have to ask, why do I have to keep trudging back to a specific location to switch characters, instead of just quick swapping with a button? That really doesn't add anything but busy work, and it's an easy example of something a proper remake could have addressed.
Okay, so he talks about the bus stops. First of all, it's not really that inconvenient. Yeah, it is a bit annoying, I will say that, but they keep the bus stop signs close to what your objective is. And then the other part, and I brought this up in my other review of GameSpot's review. Go check that out, by the way, if you haven't seen it already. Where they said that they said the same thing. That it would have been better if you could just switch characters on the fly whenever you want to. And that would definitely break the game, in my opinion. You could be able to very easily go out of bounds.
Battle for Bikini Bottom does add a new wave-based Horde mode that lets you and one other person, either locally or online, battle against wave after wave after wave of the robotic enemies you fight in the campaign. And it is a waste of your time. It's so simplistic, so monotonous, and so unrewarding that it would have been a poor addition when the original Battle for Bikini Bottom debuted in 2003, and is even worse now.
Okay, so I have not played the multiplayer mode. I don't know how it works really, besides gameplay clips I've seen of other people playing it. But I think it's cool that they added the robot Squidward that got cut from the original. I think that's pretty neat, and it seems like a fun, wave-based thing. But yeah, there's not really too much else I can say about this. It's a nice addition. It's an extra thing. They didn't have to add this in. They could have just kept it. They say there's nothing new, and then they point this out, which is something new, and then they say it's pointless and boring.
Little to no strategy required, and the character's unique attacks essentially make no difference. The biggest obstacles, more so than the actual enemies, is that every few waves takes place on a different island, and plenty of enemy attacks can knock you into the surrounding water pretty easily. But so long as one player survives a round, you both move on. And both of you dying just resets that wave anyway. Completing all of the islands, each with about 3 waves, with a friend, took about 30 to 40 minutes. And that 30 to 40 minute segment is something I wish I could get back. It's not the worst platformer I've ever played, but I am disappointed that rather than addressing any of the real issues with Battle for Bikini Bottom that could have been tweaked without ruining the spirit of the original, Rehydrated leaves history intact at the cost of passing on opportunities to make this a better game. It looks good enough, but the problems with the 2003 original have only become more noticeable with age and increased competition. There are bright spots that remain fun almost 2 decades later, and there are pops of ingenuity in its reworking, but it does so little to stand alongside the best, or even the pretty good, platformer remakes and remasters we've seen this generation.
Oh, there you have it. 5 out of 10. I don't feel that this deserved a 5 out of 10 personally. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like I said, that they gave the original a 7 out of 10. And I think this at least deserves a 7 or an 8 out of 10. It makes no sense that you would rate it lower than what you rated the original, because there are tons of quality improvements to this. Like I said about the kelp force, actually being able to see what you're doing, and just the overall graphical rehaul. SpongeBob looks great. The character models have been completely remade, and they look fantastic, and everything is just amazingly redone. And Purple Lamp Studios did a fantastic job. And one thing I'm very grateful for is that they released, I believe it was yesterday, a accolades trailer of all the good and positive reviews and positive things people said. And I'm so happy that they've seen that, because the game deserves so much praise. But it's a faithful remaster that lives up to my expectations. It's what I wanted. I didn't want a completely remade game that takes liberties and gets rid of things from the original. And I don't mind a few seconds of loading. My gosh. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on this. My last video, I got blocked by Funky Joseph, the reviewer of the GameSpot reviewer, for that. He blocked me on Twitter, and I find that hilarious. I'm wondering if I'm going to get blocked by this guy for this video. We'll just have to wait and see and find out. But, yeah, so... And it's a shame that big platforms like this are giving it negative reviews, because a lot of people, and please don't be like this, have your own opinions, form your own opinions, watch multiple reviews, and don't be like some people I've seen who only believe what the big dogs of reviewing, like IGN and GameSpot, say for games. Because there's so many great games out there that they've given bad reviews to, which definitely did not deserve it. And reviews like this can sometimes make or break games, because there's people out there, a lot of people who are not, as well, who don't do the research, I should say, to go out and look beyond what these big review companies say. And it's a shame, because a lot of games have suffered because of it. They see the 2 out of 10 from GameSpot and the 5 out of 10. They're like, oh, well, it's a crap game. I'm not going to buy it. That's all I need to know. And it's an absolute shame. And these reviewers, if you are getting paid to review a game, you need to have some kind of integrity. And people say, oh, you can't blame IGN. It was the one reviewer. Well, he speaks for the whole company. So his thoughts are what IGN decides that their entire company, as a games journalist outlet, decides this is what this game is worth and whether you should buy it or not based on its thing. And people say, oh, well, you can't think like that because, a different reviewer might have given it a different score. Well, why didn't they get that reviewer, Get the person who grew up with the game and play the original, or, somebody who's more well-adversed with platformers. I remember originally, I believe it was GameSpot, I think, did the Insane Trilogy. And they did a review of that, and I believe they gave it a 6 out of 10 because the guy said it was too hard and he couldn't even get past the first island. And that is ridiculous. And then they went back and they re-reviewed it. I remember, and everybody was so outraged, just like this, just like the SpongeBob one. Maybe I can find that review, and maybe I'll do that sometime if people want to see that, and review what they said in that. But yeah, they gave it a 6 out of 10, which is only 1 point above this. And they were like, oh, it's too hard, it's blah, 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 it doesn't do anything new. Same crap that they said in this, and and the GameSpot one as well. They said the same thing as they said in that one about SpongeBob. So, don't just believe what IGN and GameSpot say. Form your own opinions, make your own choices, check a bunch of different sources and what people say, because there's some great games out there that got lost to time and never got to see a sequel, never got to even get a chance, because these big name companies said, I don't like it because reason, even though it really wasn't that bad of a game. It just wasn't what they wanted. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure, again, to check out the other one where I did GameSpot and their atrocious 2 out of 10 review. And I picked that apart clean. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. And tell me if you agree with IGN here and think it deserves a 5 out of 10, or if you agree with me and think it deserves at least a 7 or an 8 or higher. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.